As regular viewers know, we have been covering the ongoing saga involving the cause of Archbishop Fulton Sheen for decades. In full disclosure, I was a member of the original foundation that moved his cause for sainthood over 20 years ago. In 2019, after 3 years of legal battles, the Archdiocese of New York finally released the late televangelist's remains to his home diocese in Peoria, allowing his cause to continue and proceed. However, a bankruptcy process in the Diocese of Rochester, New York, where Sheen once served as bishop, provided yet another roadblock to the advancement of the cause. Joining me now with an update on the status of the Sheen cause for sainthood is the executive director of the Archbishop Fulton Sheen Foundation, Msgr. Jason Gray. He joins us from the Sheen Museum in Peoria. Thank you so much for being here, Msgr. As I mentioned before, the Diocese of Peoria it finally received Archbishop Sheen's remains in 2019. That seemed to resolve the last obstacle to the cause. Then weeks before he was to be beatified, the cause was halted. Please explain to viewers how the financial crisis in Rochester had put a halt to the Sheen cause.
Sure. And that does take us back 4 years. It's hard to imagine that much time has passed. But in 2019, it was in July that the miracle itself was approved by Pope Francis. And so we were ready to go. We had actually been privately, we had been negotiating a date of September 20th, 2019 for his beatification. That would have been Sheen's 100th anniversary of priesthood ordination. But when it wasn't just the bankruptcy in New York, but it was also in Rochester, but it was also the fact that there had been a waiver of the statute of limitations. It really was not known at the time whether there would be new allegations of which we really knew nothing. So there was a concern that something might come forward. And so out of an abundance of caution, the Holy See was hesitant. We also received some documents that raised a question as to whether or not Archbishop Sheen had handled any abuse cases improperly. And we got a hold of those documents. Yeah. We researched them carefully. And we actually, from Peoria, we went to the Congregation of Saints and the Secretary of State in Rome and made a presentation to prove to them without any doubt that Sheen did handle those cases correctly. He had one case of an abuser he got out of ministry, and a second case of a priest who wanted back into ministry, and Sheen would not assign him. He was assigned by the next bishop of Rochester, but Sheen himself did not assign anyone who had been an abuser. So we proved that to Rome, and Rome was actually satisfied with that. And with that, the delayed September date now became a December date. So then we were up to December 22nd, 2019, and that was public. So we had announced that as a date for beatification. But there was still at the same time the concern over the investigation the state of New York was going to do into all the dioceses in New York. The Attorney General's report was just being undertaken. And so out of an abundance of caution, not knowing what else might come forward, it was just considered more prudent to suspend the cause at the time.
Well, but now, Msgr, that those bankruptcy proceedings in Rochester are really wrapping up, what is the status now, and how might things proceed from here? I mean, it seems like the obstacles, at least the worries and concerns about the unknown, are now known.
It's true. That's true. When the window closed for reporting cases of abuse, the statute of limitations waiver ended, and the bankruptcy filing is nearing its completion. So we actually employed a law firm in New York that works with the different dioceses in the state, and we actually did a thorough review of every case that had been presented, and we were able to demonstrate that no case had been brought forward that in any way impugned Sheen. I think it's safe to say that I don't think any cause for beatification has been subjected to more scrutiny than Archbishop Sheen, both ecclesiastically and civilly. And in all of this, not only has nothing been found to impugn Sheen, but I think his heroic virtues have been confirmed. As I would like to say, Sheen is clean, and we can prove that. So we're
like that.
Confident about,
You should do up those T-shirts and sell them at the museum. Sheen is clean, free the cause. That's what I'm going to start. That's going to be my banner here. Throughout this process, Msgr, have there been any legitimate claims or accusations against the late Archbishop Sheen that would further delay his cause for sainthood?
There have not.
In your study?
Yeah, there have not, and we're able to disprove any questions about anything that would even be alleged. So we're able to make that clear. And in fact, in September of 2022, then a group from Peoria, we went over again just to present these renewed findings and the research that had been done through the law firm. And so we actually met with Cardinal Semeraro and Saints. We met with Cardinal Parolin, Secretary of State, and presented all this material. Rome was actually very clear that there's no problem in the Holy See with this cause. The concerns have been raised on the other side of the pond. It's members of the U.S. hierarchy, and so out of just concern and an abundance of caution, there's just hesitation until we feel like there's no doubts remaining. But if it takes the Attorney General's report to demonstrate what we already know, what we've already proven, we want to go forward with the unanimous support of the entire Bishops' Conference, and I'm sure that we'll get there.
Well, I know there were some archbishops who were concerned, and it does connect to many of the things we're discussing, the bankruptcy proceedings and the possibility of some connection to abuse here. So they put this on hold. But tell us about the other part of this, which is at this point, Sheen already has the miracle in place. I mean, it's already been approved. So is there any reason, from where you stand, to hold up this cause and to stop him from being at least beatified at this point?
It's really just a question of prudence. And if, like I mentioned, the Attorney General in New York has not released a report yet, we know what has been reported, so we're confident that that's also going to vindicate Sheen. If we need to wait for that, then I'd like to go forward with that unanimous support of all the bishops, which I'm sure we will have, and this will be the opportunity to beatify the first American-born bishop in the United States, as well as America's bishop, as he would have been called back in the day when he was on television.
Monsignor, before I let you go, assuming these matters are settled, do you have any plans, do the foundation have any plans of bringing these findings before the entire body of bishops and getting them to just give it a final amen so that it has their support when you go back to Rome?
If there are any questions, when we have all the documentation and we have all the proof, so if there's anything that we need to demonstrate, these are kind of sad things, and it's a very difficult time in the church to deal with cases of abuse. So I know it's not something that I think we want to dwell on, but if there's need for any clarity, we can offer it. We've got everything that would be necessary to demonstrate Sheen's heroic virtue, without a doubt.
Yeah, well, we knew many of these things years ago. That, I know there were the allegations that, there was an abuser in Rochester, but it turns out Sheen pulled him out of ministry. It was the successor that returned him to it. So, as you said earlier, Monsignor, and I love the slogan, Sheen is clean. I love that. So we will leave it there. Please, Monsignor Gray, keep us updated on this cause. We obviously want to see this go to the next level, and I know many of the people who watch not only our program but EWTN, they continue to watch Archbishop Sheen, and he was so prophetic on so many fronts. It would be a tragedy if this cause didn't move forward, given that he's met all the benchmarks. I'm sure that it will, and Sheen is someone that the church needs, I think, more today than ever, and so we look forward to having him beatified, which I know will happen. I'm confident of that. And we can say, God love you, as Sheen himself would always say. I'll erase the chalkboard when you're done. For the latest on the Archbishop Sheen Foundation and the Servant of God, Fulton Sheen's cause for canonization, visit celebratesheen.com. Thank you, Monsignor.
Excellent. Thank you.